So let's talk about how we do expanded differences and modeling subtraction with base 10 blocks. So we want to be able to model what's happening when we are subtracting. We are separating. So when I'm subtracting, I don't need to build both numbers. If I think about that in a problem-solving setting, if I had 265 jelly beans and I'm giving 143 to a friend, I wouldn't build 265 and then build 143 more. I'm not joining them, so I don't need two sets. I'm starting with 265 and I'm taking out of that 265 143. So I only need to build the number that I'm starting with. So I have 265 200s. I'll get it where you'll be able to see everything. 30, 40, 50, 60, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 265. And I'm taking away from the 265. So there's no need for me to build 143. I'm taking 143 out of what I have here. So let's start with the units. I'm taking 3 units away. They're gone. I also need to take 4 tens away. I've taken those away. And then I need to take 100 away. I've taken those away. So here's my answer. As easy as that, my answer is 122. So let's look at what that looks like when we write it out. So I started with 200, and if it's easier for you, instead of having your plus signs between your place values for this part, I like to write it in more of a place value chart to help my students not get confused by the plus signs if I wrote it in expanded form. And then I'm subtracting 143. 5 minus 3 is 2. Here's my 2 that were left over. 60 minus 40 is 20. Here's my 20. And 200 minus 100 is 100. Then I can put my number together and say that my answer is 122. And the way that progresses from expanded differences to the algorithm just looks exactly like you think it would look. 265 minus 143. I made sure my place values are all lined up nice and neat, and I can subtract. 5 minus 3, 6 minus 4 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 100. So my answer is proven, 122. So what does that look like with regrouping involved? Let's see what that would look like. I have 343 and I want to separate 126 from that. So I start by looking, I only have 3 units. I can't take 6 units when I only have 3, but I can shift a 10 to join them. Now, if I have a student who still needs to actually see how I'm going to separate those, I need to turn this rod into 10 units so they can see that I have put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to move our 3 over here so we can show them that there's 10. 8, 9, 10. So I still have the same number. If I need my students to understand that if there's a place value gap there, then I still need them to see I still have 1, 2, 300, 10, 20, 30, 330, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 340, 41, 42, 43. So we've proven we didn't change the number, we just shifted a 10 here. Now I can subtract. I need to separate 6 units from this. Well, I have 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've separated 6 out away from what I'm working with. Now I need to separate 2 tens, and I can do that. I have 3 tens here. I can separate 2 away. And then I need to separate 100 from this group. So here's the pile over here that I separated. If my kids need to count this to see that I've actually just separated 126, 100, 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 126. So they can see here's the 126 and here's what I'm left with. I'm left with 100, 200, 10, 211, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 217. And when I write that out, here's what it looks like with expanded differences. Let me give myself a little bit of writing room. Here's going to be my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. I have 343, and I'm separating 126. Here's where I figured out if I only have 3 of something, can I take 6 out of this 3 that I have? I can't. I had to go shift a 10 over. So I want them to think of this 40 as 30, 10. This 10 is going to come over here, right? So this is going to be 13 now. 10 and 3 is 13, and this is my 30. 13 minus 6, we know is 7. 30 minus 20 I can do. 30 take away 20 is 10. 300s take away 100 is 200. And if I have students that struggle with this in the conversation that we're having, I can remind them 3 tens minus 2 tens is 110. I don't have to try to wrap my head around great big numbers. I don't have to think of things like 900 minus 500 is 400. I can say 9 of anything minus 5 of anything is 4 of whatever that thing is. So in this case, 3 tens take away 2 tens. 3 minus 2 is 110. And then they can put their number back together, 217. They can look at their model and prove that that is true. We do have 200s, we have 110, and we have 7 ones left over. And then the last thing I want to look at in this video is what happens when we're subtracting, and there are 2 sets of regrouping. So we've built 324, and from that I need to separate out 267. So if I start here and I say I only have 4 units, can I take 7 out of this? If these were cookies and I have 4, can I share 7 with someone else? Well, I can't like this, but I happen to have some 10s. So I'm going to shift a 10, and remember, this is still the same number. 310 and 14 is the same as 324. All I did was shift this to here. And again, if I have students that need to see that this becomes 10 units, I can do that. So I can say there's 10 units that I'm shifting this over. Okay, so now I do have enough to be able to subtract from the ones. Let's look at the 10s. I need to be able to take 6 10s out of this. I need to separate 6 10s, but I only have 1. What can I do? Well, I can shift 100 over here, and now I have 11 10s. That would give me plenty to be able to separate 6 out. And again, if it would help my students, then I'm going to trade and shift this 100 over, but make it 10s to help them see that there are now 11 10s. If they're leery and they don't believe me and they think I've done some kind of crazy math magic, I can have them count this and prove that it's still equal to 324. 100, 200, 210, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 300, 310, 311, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. If you need to fill that gap, have them prove it to you that we didn't do any magic. This is still equal to 324. We need to make sure they have that place value understanding for this to make sense. So now my 324 is still here. It's just in a little bit of a different form. And I can write that so that it makes sense to them. This started out 324. Then it became 310, 14 when I shifted a 10 over to here. Then it became 200, 110, 14. And we proved that that's still the same number. So now we know this is the number that we're going to be working with to be able to subtract easier. So if I have 14 units and I need to take 7 away, can I do that? Yes, I can separate 7 from this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I separated 7 out of that. If I have 11 tens and I need to separate 6, can I do that? Yes, I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I have 200s and I need to separate 200s, can I do that? Yes. 200s separated. Now, this is what I'm left with for an answer of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57 is my answer. 57. If I need them to see that I still started with 324 and I separated 267, I have 267 right here to prove to them that that is what I separated out of our original pile and this is what I'm left with. If I wanted to really prove it, I could join it all back together and prove that I still have 324. So here was my 267 we separated, and here's my 57 that I'm left with. Let's see what the math looks like. And I'm going to start with my funny number that we worked with when we solved this problem. So here's my hundreds, my tens, and my ones. I have 200, I have 110, I have 14, and from that I'm subtracting 260, or 6 tens, and 7 ones. 14 ones minus 7 ones is 7. That's what I have right here, 7. That works. 11 tens minus 6 tens is 5 tens, or 50, which is what I have right here. And 200s minus 200s is 0 hundreds. So when I put my number back together, I have 57. If I want them to see that as the standard algorithm, let me move that so I have some room to write. I need them to make the connection to this regrouping business that we do so that they understand where these numbers came from. If you see students that are struggling subtracting across zeros, they don't understand this part. They don't understand when they're shifting something over what's happening. So we need to go back and show them that with manipulatives. They can't make sense of this regrouping if they don't understand what's happening with the place value. So here, I can say again, if I only have 4, I can't take 7 away, but I can shift a 10 from here and make this 10 and 4, which is 14. 14, I can give you 7. I can separate 7 from 14. That's 7. If I only have 1 10, I can't take 6 out of it, but I can shift from the hundreds column 10 tens over, and now I have 11 tens. And 11 tens minus 6 tens is 5 tens. And then 2 hundreds minus 2 hundreds is 0 hundreds. My answer matches what we built here. My work matches what we worked with. 2 hundreds, 11 tens, 14 ones. So I need them to see how each of these steps connects to place value that we've been learning.